Alright, what's up everybody, it's Kami and welcome back to another JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable anime episode review. We're on episode 32, which is July 15th, Thursday, part 2. So, the episode starts off with Rohan opening the door to the cheap trick user. And, you know, he's the architect guy, and Rohan's like, oh, well, yeah, I'm pretty sure I called this guy, but he hits him with Heaven's Door, because he's, like, really cautious and kind of, you know, just trying to be careful as he's tracking down Kira. So he checks everything is fine, but then he notices that this guy has this weird thing where he doesn't want people to see his back. So Rohan's like, oh, it's probably just, you know, for whatever reason this guy just doesn't want people to see his back. Everybody has their own weird fears, so he's like, whatever. So the guy, you know, Rohan deactivates Heaven's Door. The guy gets back up, and he like walks into the house as they're talking, but he's walking with his back against the wall outside of the house, and then with his back against the door, and then as he closes the door he still has his back against the door. So we get a cut to later on in the day, back to the Superfly fight. So they're back at the radio tower, and Toyohiro's over here taunting Josuke and Okuyasu, and Mikitaka's still stuck at the tower, but Josuke repairs the wire that Toyohiro had cut last episode with Crazy Diamond so he could climb up to the tower to fight Toyohiro. So he tries to hit Toyohiro a bunch of times. Toyohiro just dodges all the attacks, and Josuke ends up falling, hanging from the tower with one arm. He's just like hanging there, and Toyohiro tries to spit on Josuke. He's just like sitting there mocking him this entire time, and Josuke's just like, you ass, like stop. So then Toyohiro pulls the knife out of his callus, and he ends up cutting the tower a couple times, and Mikitaka's like, holy shit, Josuke, he cut the tower, you know, watch out, it's gonna reflect back at you. So a couple of the hits reflect, and they hit Josuke in the arms. I believe it was both arms. It was no, it's one arm, and then in the middle of his hand he gets like cut and shit, and then a couple more shots hit Josuke, and they end up knocking him down to a lower part of the tower, and he's just hanging with an arm with Crazy Diamond. And then Josuke looks at Okuyasu, and he's like, oh, you know, there's no reason to worry. Did you see how many shots I reflected back with Crazy Diamond? Okuyasu's like, yeah, around 4 hits, and Josuke's, you know, like, oh, that should be enough. And then Toyohiro's really confused, and Mikitaka's like, oh shit, Josuke, you're smart, nice job. And Toyohiro's still confused. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, you know, my Crazy Diamond can fix things. And then a bunch of the shots that Josuke hit reflect back at Toyohiro, and they shoot him in the face and shoot him in the neck, and he just falls. But nobody dies. And the funny thing is, as he's falling, Josuke tells Toyohiro his next line is impossible. So he has this whole little Joseph moment, which I thought was pretty cool if they threw that in there. I don't remember him doing that in the manga, but that's cool if they put that in the anime, I guess. And then we cut back to all of them at the bottom of the tower. Toyohiro is begging for mercy to stay in the tower. He says he won't try to trap anybody else in there. He says he won't try to hurt anybody. He says he'd rather stay inside the tower than try to leave again. So he's scared shitless. And then Josuke is like, alright, whatever, fine. But can we ask about the guy in the photograph, which scares dad? So Toyohiro asks if they know Koichi, and everybody's like, yeah, what the hell? Like, what's wrong with Koichi? And then Toyohiro tells them that Kira's dad told him that Koichi would be eliminated, that he would no longer be waiting. Alright, we had a slight interruption there, but anyways, he states that he won't wait any longer, and that he'd start attacking the other stand users so that they can't, you know, find Kira. So we get another cut back to Rohan's house with the architect, and they were just talking there for a little bit, and then we get a cut to Kosaku in his office, and his nails are continuing to grow, and of course we know, he said it himself, when his nails start to grow, he gets his murderous tendencies, and that's when, you know, he starts to want to go and kill somebody, because he's a serial killer. So he's sitting there trying to hold himself back from blowing everything up in the office. Then we get a cut back to the tower, which the cuts in this episode are pretty much just like they were in the last episode, where they give you a time slot, and we'll say Thursday, July 15th. And then it'll say, like, you know, 9 a.m., 7:30 a.m., 8 a.m., whatever time it was cutting back like that. which again I thought was a really good way of them to tie in Superfly, Enigma, and Cheap Trick. It just kind of works. So we get a cut back to the tower with Mikitaka and Toyohiro, and they're sitting there, you know, hoping that Koichi's okay, and Mikitaka's just kind of like looking out in the distance while Toyohiro's cooking some food. So we have another cut to Okuyasu searching for Koichi throughout the town, and he's not finding anything, and Josuke goes to the hospital. He's smart. Yeah, and he goes to find Yuya, I think his last name is like Fungami, but he's the Highway Star user, and he tells him, you know, help me find Koichi, and, you know, I'll heal you. And Yuya at first is kind of like, nah man, like, you know, you hurt me last time you were here, you know, you're the one that has me in this condition, why should I help you? And Josuke's like, oh, alright, then I'll leave. And then Yuya kind of just sits there for a little bit. He's like, alright, I'll help you. So Josuke heals him, and then he wants to test Yuya's sense of smell. So Yuya actually smells the air, and he's like, oh, these 3 people are going to come to the room. They just came back from a pachinko parlor, and that's exactly what happens. And Josuke's like, oh wow, like, you know, you have a really good sense of smell. So we get a cut back to Rohan with the architect, and the architect is going up the stairs, but he's going up the stairs on his back, so he's kind of like walking like a spider, I guess. And so Rohan's just like, alright, this guy's weird, I gotta see his back, which is where he's messing up, because he doesn't know that's, you know, Cheap Trick. But then we get just another cut, and it goes back to Josuke with Yuya, and they're in the town. They find Koichi's bag, so Yuya's smelling it to track the scent, and then Yuya's like, you know, I'm only here to help you find the person, I don't have to fight anybody, right? And Josuke's like, well, you know, why would you say that? You know, he's like, is somebody nearby? And Yuya's like, yeah, we've been followed the entire time. And then the dark skinned guy with the white hair, we'll just call him Enigma Boy, because I don't remember if I ever give him a name, but his name is Enigma. So he shows up, and Josuke's like, oh shit, that's the guy that got Koichi. And he goes over to get him, and it turns out that it's not not that it's not Koichi, it's not the Enigma Boy, and it ends up being his mom. So Josuke is like really pissed because his mom is unconscious and stuff, and Yuya is confused because he's like, no, there's no way, you know, that guy could have been here, but he was sure that it was him because Yuya has a really good sense of smell, and he was sure that that was the guy that got Koichi and that got Josuke's mom, which he's still nearby, but that wasn't him. He just done something with his stand, so he was like, you know, I've heard about Jotaro being able to stop time for about 2 seconds, but this is nothing like that. And then we get another cut back to Josuke's house in that morning, with Tomoko back in the kitchen complaining about, you know, her snack and stuff, and then Enigma Boy's sitting at the table, and he's like, oh, you know, you're scared, you're afraid. He's like observing her the entire time, and she picks up a knife and stuff. She's like, what do you want? You know, I'm not gonna give you any money, you know, get the hell out of here. And he's just like, you already fell into my trap. And then he captures her in the stand because he notices people by their sense of fear, and when he's able to do that, he's able to catch them with the Enigma Boy and put them into a little piece of paper, or not the Enigma Boy, but the Enigma, and that's how he's able to capture people. So we have that, and then it cuts back to Josuke and Yuya in the middle of, you know, the situation they were already in the middle of the town, and Josuke is like, oh, there's something in this pocket, unlike his mom's like coat, or so he pulls it out, and it's this piece of paper. And Yuya's like, you know, you probably shouldn't do that. And we know he shouldn't do that. But of course, Josuke is Josuke. He's going to do things. So he starts to open up the paper, and right before he goes to open up the last fold, the episode just ends right there. So we get the preview for the next episode. Well, not preview, but the next episode's end card was July 15th or whatever day it was. I forgot. And it's going to be the part 3. So, of course, they're putting all of this together. We're going to be on episode 33 next, and they're probably going to have the Cheap Trick stuff in episode 34, and then episodes 35, 36, 37, 38, and 39, I guess, are going to be Bites of Dust, unless they make Cheap Trick longer. But considering that they're going on to part 3 of, you know, this day, since everything kind of just happens in order back to back, of course, they're going to get Koichi first before he gets to Rohan, which, if you didn't expect that, if you're an anime-only person, then I don't know what you were thinking. I don't think it's going to happen to Koichi. The only person that is going to get bodied in part 4, sadly, aside from, of course, the villain, which will happen eventually, with Shigechi. So, that's that. it was an overall pretty good episode. It was a good way of tying things into each other again with the different transitions and the different cuts. Of course, I liked that in the last episode, and then they brought that back for this one, so that was fun. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. I upload JoJo's Bizarre Adventure content all the time on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And, of course, leave a like on the video. If you guys enjoyed the episode, feel free to say so, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.